Matt, our producer, he's great with, I mean, as a producer and an engineer, he's just great with gear and just tones. So he introduced me to the Soul Bender pedal, the full tone Soul Bender, which at first I was like, oh, yeah, but then I plugged the guitar into it and we messed around with it, and he's got this Dr. Z, I think the Route 66 Dr. Z head and cab combination. And that with my Maton humbucker guitar, which is the BB1200 with the Soul Bender. Am I going too nerdy here? Is this good?
No, this is good.
Is this what you want? Okay, so Maton BB1200, so quite a thick tone through the Soul Bender, which just like is an overdrive, but it's got this slight fuzziness to it, but quite a warm fuzz. It's like a furry sort of tennis ball sort of thing. And then through the Dr. Z, which is really clean until you crank it like to a crazy level, and then it just crunches really nicely, but it heaps of headroom. So that's like the guitar solo to You Cannot Call for Love Like a Dog. It's mainly that. So heaps of sustain and like distortion and fuzziness, but kind of warm still. So yeah, that one's great. And using like, I mean, Matt's got this really cool like tape delay, but literal tape delay, the Copycat, which is an old school style kind of actual piece of tape with tape heads, creating a delay sound, which is, it was like pretty. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, basically. But when it did work, it was great.
Noisy sometimes.
Really noisy, but like I think that might have been on The Crowd in the end, that one. The song The Crowd. There's a bunch of other ones I can't remember off the top of my head now. Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up listening to that song, More Than a Feeling, and playing the acoustic guitar part and loving how it was all spacious and two guitars kind of doing the same thing. But I mean, modern bands, even Radiohead, do that quite well, using multiple like acoustic guitars playing the same thing, which I've always loved. Heroin's actually electric guitars, but I feel like with electric guitars you can get a really great chiming effect when you double them or record them an octave apart doing the same thing, or harmonise them. There's a lot of guitar harmonies actually on the record. In rhythm, like guitars playing a harmony of the rhythm part above it or below it, so to speak. So that's something that we got into a lot. Impossible IQ, which was off our EP, does that as well.
Three different strats through the recording process. I was borrowing one at the beginning of Anthony Pink. That was actually, had been Troy Casadale's guitar. He bought it secondhand in a guitar shop. That was a baby blue one. And then I picked up a 79 American gold Strat. And then I was playing that for a while. That was nice. It was a bit, it had sort of higher action and it was a bit kind of chunkier. But I kind of liked that, so I used that one for history, and I can kind of hear myself like trying to get on top of the chords a bit, and it's sort of, you can hear like that, some of those artifacts of that guitar. But then I was at a gig in WA when we were doing a tour, and this guy at the end of the gig came up to me and was chatting and said, blah blah blah, I'd love to give you a guitar, I've got this Strat. And I was like, well, I'd love to get a guitar. And so we emailed. He was moving onto a boat and he no longer had space for it, and he was just being lovely and generous and supportive. And so then he gave me like a new Stratocaster. It's a Fender Select, and so it's kind of like, it's a modern guitar, but it's kind of got a few of the components are kind of spec'd up. And so that's what I'm playing at the moment. And I was kind of playing through, I've got a little Fender Princeton that I bought off Oz, and we had a twin for a while. It's nice to hear that. I mean, we wouldn't want it to be too derivative.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you do it? Other than, I don't know, just with songwriting and trusting our producer and things.
Yeah, I hope that it sounds kind of nostalgic but modern. That was And with guitar tones, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know how we did it. Maybe using a lot of delays, because that can sometimes modernize the sound a little bit. Some of the guitar tones we got were quite like in Heroin there's a guitar solo, and it's similar to Impossible Like You, again, which isn't on the record, it's on our EP that we released. Kind of going for a slightly fuzzier tone, so like in some cases just DIing and driving the DI signal till it fuzzes, or using I don't know if we use any fuzz pedals actually, but doing things like that, I found that would, although that's a tried and tested technique, it's not exactly a new one, but that would sometimes, I felt, kind of modernise the sound a little bit.
I feel like the vocal approach as well is pretty contemporary, like in terms of the way it's recorded and potentially the melodies as well. It's pretty sort of hi-fi, I think, the vocals. And
the drums are important too, because Ryan, our drummer, he like really hits the drums, and often I find in the retro or like the old 70s, 60s recordings, with possibly the exception of someone like John Bonham, there's often a softness to the tones. You know, you listen to Pink Floyd and they're really just like tap, kind of like that, which is great. But Ryan belts the shit out of the drums, and Matt's got this big long hallway, and he puts mics in the hallway and gets a big room sound, and he's not afraid to push the drums so they sound big and meaty and hi-fi and have sort of lows and highs to them. And so I think that's another factor in terms of giving a record more.
Our producer puts a lot of thought into the drum miking and drums. Going back to Europe again.
Back to Europe.
So it's a bit scary, actually. You can see we've both just gone pale because with the first tour we got, the Australian government gave us a grant, Ozco, which was amazing, and we were extremely grateful, and it really took the pressure off and allowed us to go over and really enjoy it. But this one we're not funded, and it's, you know, it's a bit of a scary time for a band at the moment, because I don't know, like at the moment, for example, we've got all this tour booked and all these flights booked and stuff, but there's no income, so, you know, we're really exposed, and then with Europe as well. So it's a scary thing, but it's exciting, and, you know, I mean, how many times in your life do you get an opportunity like that? So we've just kind of gritted our teeth and try not to think about it.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, Europe, and then, we don't know.
Then really. Summer, then it's going to be summer, so I'm sure things will happen over summer.
Maybe some festivals and stuff.
Not sure which ones.
And we're working on some new songs.